7 months or so ago, I painted my first ever Black Templar, and since then I've gotten so much more experience under my belt. I picked up dry brushes, contrast paints, and I've even learnt my own personal Black Templar recipe that I love. So I thought this week it'd be perfect to revisit that same model and see how much we've improved. So down here I've got a Black Templar Sword Brethren that's pretty much the exact copy of the first one I painted. There's only one or two tiny little differences, but it's got the same weapon, same lantern on his backpack, pretty much like 99% the same. So this week we do one of my favourite things, and that is see how much we've improved. Cool, yeah, and this is the first ever Black Templar we painted, and it's not as bad as I remember, you know? Like, looking at it, it's a bit... The edge highlights are obviously the worst part. It's real chonky and thick, and I'm not a massive fan of the black armour. Similarly to, like, add on to the edge highlighting, there's not a lot of depth to it. It's quite a flat model. But, like, it's not actually that bad. I was kind of expecting it to be like a car crash and a horror show, but it's looking alright, you know? But no, we'll put this guy to one side and we'll move on to the model that's pretty much an exact copy of this that we're painting today. So yeah, just primed him in some matte white, and then also one of the things I think will make a big improvement, just right off the bat, is sub-assembly. Look at this, got all these little pieces that I can paint on their own and really get into the nooks and crannies, whereas this first dude, as I grabbed the Black Templar contrast, was fully built. So I just kind of went at him as he is. Like, so maybe you can kind of see, yeah, in there the cape's a little bit white because I just couldn't get in there. Now that we've got a more defined Black Templar recipe as well, I'm keen to see how that looks. So speaking of that recipe, we're just going to start off with the usual. So it's just a coat of Black Templar contrast over all of the armour, and then we'll dry brush some rust grey onto it. Sweet, so there's the first half of the armour recipe, just a layer of Black Templar contrast, plus some rust grey dry brushing. I do love that sort of bright blue, chalky sort of dry brush, but it's a little bit too chalky, so what we do is we rain it in with a bit of Nuln oil. So we just grab wherever the pot is, yeah, I go just a lathering of Nuln oil all over. What it does, it kind of like darkens down and levels out that chalkiness in the armour, but brings out the highlights a bit more. It's quite cool. And then because this guy is a bit special, he's a sword bro, plus obviously I want him to look good for the video, I'll do a little bit of extra edge highlighting of Fenrisian grey. So yeah, let's just crack on with these two bits and that'll be all of the armour done. Sweet, so that's the full armour recipe pretty much done. Looking really nice, and yeah, this is the thing I was most excited to see, and I mean, let's just cheekily compare them now, like, yeah, I just feel like the new recipe's got so much more depth and volume to it, especially with those like extra Fenrisian grey highlights in the top sections. That collar as well is a bit cleaner, although there is a smudge which is super annoying. But yeah, just a little bit more volume, it pops a little bit more, and it'll definitely sort of be more obvious when we compile it all and get everything done. So, where do we start with, you know? Do you know what? Last week I really enjoyed the tabard. I feel like we got a nice improvement on the sort of tabard, so I am going to stick with this front section. Just in that way, once we've done this whole torso, we can just chuck it to one side. So we'll slap some Zandri dust, Agrak Surfshade, and an Ushabti bone on this tabard. And then also tar up some belts and some necklaces, and yeah, and then just see where we can go from there. Cool, and there's a nice looking tabard. You know what, I'm actually quite happy with where we're at in the tabard, you know. Some nice like highlights and depth in there. Yeah, and just to touch on the tabards while I put some Mournfang brown on this belt, the biggest improvement and difference maker has been just watering down some of the colours we use on these shades, like the Agrax shade, and then the relayering of the Zandri dust. Because prior to like watering it down, the transitions between like the darkened recesses from the earth shade and the relayering of the Zandri dust was just so stark, like, you know, proper obvious. But when you water the paints down, it kind of dilutes them. They're a little bit softer, and I feel like, yeah, the transitions are a little bit smoother. It looks a little bit more natural, so that's definitely been a big help. Sweet, so yeah, there's just some of the little details, like the belt, nice and grimy, how we like it. Oh, actually, hold on, I'm saying that, I need to put Nuln oil on the belt buckle. So, I'll do that in a second. But, got the necklace and the little crest-like cross on it. I did try something a teeny tiny bit different, actually. I put some Agrax Earthshade on the chain around his neck. Let me zoom in. Yeah, I put a little Agrax Earthshade rather than Nuln oil, just to be like a sort of dirty, grimy chain rather than pristine and shiny. Just to try something different. Sweet, so we have done the little insignia on his knee. I'm a big fan of this. It really adds a lot to that bottom section. Really fills it out a little bit more. Then also we quickly bashed out the shoulder pads, just because they're quite a quick and easy thing. Like after you put the black base layer on, it's just some reds and some highlights. So quite a nice, easy little win. Plus, also, it doesn't really come across in the video, but like this project's actually been quite a long one. Like normally when I do minis, I sit down and it's like a 2-3 day thing maybe. Whereas this one, I've like been putting it down and picking it up over the course of, God, I think it's been about like 3 weeks now so far. Yeah, it's been a nice like side project. Whenever I fancy just painting something a little bit non-committal, just a little pick up and go, I've had it there, which I found quite nice. Because sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed when I pick up a model and I'm like, I need to paint all of this in like a day or two because I want a video to go out for the week. So it's been quite nice to have this one on the back burner, just being like, oh, whenever I just want a little like 20-minute painting session, nothing committal. So next up, I think I'll start on the cape, just because it's quite fun to like layer up those colours and like dry brush on different levels of red and stuff and get that depth. That's quite fun, so let's crack on with that next and then see where we go from there. So I did what we normally do with the red capes. I did a layer of Khorn red, and then we dry brush on like heavy Mephiston and a touch of Evil Sunz. And I was like, you know what? I was actually comparing it to the old cape we did, to the first one, to have a little look. And I thought this one's a bit more like cohesive, a bit darker and grimier. I'll just put some Nuln oil on the new one to like give it some of that cohesion, darken the recesses. But I'm just, yeah. Even though you can see like I was trying to soak up the excess, some of it still lingered around, like you can see there on the streakiness. There's a little bit blotchy, which is kind of annoying because there's only one or two main ones. Just this one here in the middle is the worst. The others you could sort of just forego as real dark shadows. So what I might just do, because I can never leave anything alone, I might just reapply those 2 dry brush layers. Do like a heavy Mephiston red over the top sections, and then a dry brush of Evil Sunz over like the really raised stuff. Yeah, and then we can move on to the interior of the cape, which I think probably some Corax white, like an off-white, and then, oh yeah, actually, no, what I might do this, I might do Corax white along all of it, and then dry brush some white scar over the top, and then do maybe a watered down, a wash, maybe Agrax or Skeleton Horde. So I've done a layout of white on this cloak, if I can get it to stick. And as I mentioned, I've been doing this sort of on and off. I've been picking it up, putting it down. It's been like a few weeks, just doing it here and there. And one of the downsides of that is I've kind of forgotten some of the little minor things about painting these models, like basically how white cloaks are just awful. Like I don't think pure white really suits these cloaks because it's just too like almost like superhero cleanish. Like it's too bright and bold. So I looked back at some of my older videos and I was like, what do I actually do on these cloaks? And I just remembered, yeah, it's actually a layer of Racar flesh on the whole thing, and then we'll dry brush some Wraith bone over the raised edges because this is like the brighter colour, right? Yeah. So yeah, we'll do Racar flesh and we'll put some Wraith bone on these sort of raised sections here, and then yeah, we'll put some wash over it to kind of make it coherent, I think. Yeah, that's looking loads better. So much nicer than like the bold, clean white. It's a nice sort of like dirty, grimy sort of cloak, but you can still see though differentiating like the raised sections are a little bit brighter, then that divot's like a bit darker. Just some like layers. A little bit too much pooling just in there, a bit too annoying, but that's whatever. And then the other side is yeah, just a nice like layered like dark red cape with some kind of like raised highlights just in that section. Nice bright and bold. A couple spots of Trollsayer orange in there as well. No, I'm really happy with this cape, you know. I do think capes are a weird one. Just as we move on to, I guess I say we'll do the weapons next. I am keen to work more on the capes. Like I feel like they're one of those things that like, yeah, they're so deep and there's just so much to them. I feel like you can spend like forever on them. Like there's so many different techniques like sponging, layering, highlighting. It's like so hard to get that natural, real look of cloth. But I will say I'm quite happy with where we're at. Like the look we've got, I think is quite nice. So I'm not too stressed about it. I don't think it's something we really need to improve on like straight away. It doesn't really need like the most attention. Sweet, so just a couple base layers, one of Khorn red and one of, what did I use? Oh, Vallejo gunmetal, that was it for the silver. And then I just slapped some Nuln oil over the top just to darken it all down and sit in those recesses. And once all this is dry, because it's still pretty wet, I'm going to do the highlights, which will just be one of a Mephiston red, fairly middle of the road, a little bit chonky, a little bit just standard, and then some light highlights of Evil Sunz just in the top section. And I'm real keen to see how this looks, just because when I did the first original one, if we do this dude that we're comparing him to, I didn't do any highlights on the gun. I don't know why. I just thought, oh, you don't highlight that stuff. You just highlight armors and shoulder pads and whatnot. So yeah, this is completely bare, so I'll be keen to see what this looks like with some red highlights. Although what I would like to know as well, in fact actually I might even try it on this, is how do you highlight silver? I've actually accumulated a lot of silver colours at this point, so I've been using this gunmetal because it's nice, quiet and dark, but I've also picked up this AK metallic oily steel, and it does look like it's a little bit brighter, so maybe we'll try and highlight with this. We can do the same on the axe, which we'll move on to after this. The blade of this will be silver, so we can also try this sort of metallic highlight and see how that looks. Cool, so we're making some progress on these weapons. I've yeah, done all the highlights in this gun, and also had a little bit of a quick comparison to the old one as well. I'll reserve the side-by-side review until the end, make you stick around, watch a little bit more, be a good content creator. But yeah, this is definitely going to stand out as one of the big improvements. The gun highlights, it looks so much better than the old one. The silver highlights, not too noticeable. A little bit sudden, I don't know, not much there. Hopefully it will be a bit more noticeable on the axe, because there's this whole big chunk of this blade here. So, put down all the base colours, just need to do some washes. What we'll do is we'll chuck a Nuln oil on pretty much everything, and then we'll also put some Agrax Earthshade on the handle. Cool, so I'm pretty sure that's most of the hard work done, to be fair. Like the torso, the cloak, definitely. The shoulder pads were quite easy, and then the other weapons we've just done now, they're looking good, you know, with the highlights and whatnot, and they're proper popping. They're looking a lot better than the original ones, which is good. It's good to see progress, because I find sometimes when you're just doing like tiny little gains here and there from like mini to mini to mini, it's kind of, you don't really see those big jumps. I don't find anyway. So it's nice to reflect back and see like, oh, actually side by side, wow, actually, yeah, we made some good progress on like our skills. Which means so far I think this has been quite a good success. There's only a few little things left to do, so it's just the head and the backpack, which shouldn't take too long. But I guess the only sort of meaty thing we have left is the base. I want to do that as well, just because on our original guy, that's something we put some time into. We put some like mud, some fake water, some grass. So I want to work on making a little bit of a better base as well. So let's crack on with, I guess the backpack. We'll do that first, then the head, and then the base, then we can build them and we're done. So I actually tried something a little bit different for these like sort of lanterns. I guess the old one, I should probably grab another model. Yeah, so I think the first one I ever did was this like sort of thing here. It's just gold and silver. It looks kind of okay. It probably looks actually, I think, better than what I've done now. They are all slightly different though, all of these ones I'm going to show. Because that's got some sort of like crosshatch. And then on the Emperor's Champion I just filled it with Imperial Fist. Actually, I think I painted it white, then filled it with Imperial Fist contrast to make it sort of like lantern light. This is good. I like it. What I did is I went out and brought some, what was it? Magmadroth Flame. Because I was like, oh, I can make like an orangey yellow glow for a lantern next time. And that's what I've tried here, but I don't think it's very good. So I put down Imperial Fist, and then I put down the orange over the top, and it was a bit too orange. So I tried to mix some of the yellow in. Yeah, it's not great, to be fair. But like I mentioned, it's kind of a different pan. There's like a hole in there, so I'm not even sure what it's meant to be. I don't know. I might just slap some more Imperial Fist over the top and try and get back to... Actually, sorry, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Nuln oil in first. See what that does to it, because it might darken it down and dull it. Because that's what I did with this thing. I put some Nuln oil in. So it kind of adds some like darkness to the recesses, and then the flat sections are a bit whiter. But yeah, what I might do then actually is put some Nuln oil over the top here, and then see where we're at. I'll probably end up adding a bit more yellow. Might even just put like flash kits over the top. And there's the full backpack, and if you were watching that little bit there and thinking, what on earth is he doing? I couldn't tell you because I don't even know myself. I did the Nuln oil, and then I tried putting some flash kits yellow over the top just to like line up the gold a little bit more, because I think the issue was the orange is a bit too like stark. It looks a bit weird against the gold, whereas the orange kind of like blends in, kind of makes a nice like sort of transition. So I was like, oh, I'll try and relayer some flash kits yellow, and then that just looks terrible. And in some sections it's like, that one's not too bad, just there. That's kind of okay. That section I've gone over the little divots a bit too much, so now it's just like a blob. And then back here, there's just too much orange. And I think I'm at that point where, yeah, I've just been putting layers and layers of paint on to the point where like, I need to stop, okay. But whatever, this is it. Looks a bit meh, but it's something we can work on. And it's, yeah, it's something that doesn't look too great, but we need to stop wasting too much time on it and just move on. Because I think we're just going to make it worse. So, that in mind, all the stuff now is the helmet, which we've already, to be fair, put a layer of contrast on. We just need to put some highlights, a little gold cross on his head, and some of the silver. Yeah, there we go, just like I mentioned, just a couple like, honestly, we did the whole base layer cycle of dry brushing and Nuln oils and highlights, and just slapped some gold, silvers and reds on it. I'm really happy with this, you know. Like, it's so nice. I think the eyes are like one of the cleanest eyes I've done. That nice little like insignia on the forehead is looking really good. Yeah, big fan of this, absolutely love it. So, like I said, nice and quick and easy. Moving on to now, the final part, and I think one of my favourites, because it's when there's no like boundaries, no like paths to follow. It's kind of just do whatever you want, kind of go a bit nuts. So it's the base. So what we're going to do is just kind of copy the similar sort of vibe we've gone across all of our Templars, which is some mud, some grass, fake water, like this kind of swampy marsh like kind of vibe. And what I've just done here, I've got some cork that I've just cut apart, primed black, and I'm going to glue this down as a rock, and then I'm going to put some like grass and some moss and stuff on it. And just while I slap some paint on, I can explain what we do. And it's the same thing we do for all of our sort of like cork rock, and that is just smother it in Eshin grey. It's like a nice dark grey colour, and then we can dry brush some Celeste grey over the top. So we'll just chuck this down on the base once all the painting for the rock is done. And then we'll just put some, I think it's, what's it called? Technical Sterland Mud. I've been using this for a while now and I really like it. And I think, to be fair, it might almost be empty, so I might need to top it up. So we'll chuck that down. And then I've also got a bottle of AK Interactive still water, like some fake water that we kind of like pour around. And then I've got a couple packs of like fake grass and stuff. I can't even remember where they've come from. No real set path in terms of like, oh, these colours go here, this goes there. It's kind of just do what you want, slap stuff where you think it'll be right, and then just, yeah, get messy with it. And here is the finished product. Yeah, look at that sword, brother, man. I'm happy with this. This is definitely one of the best ones we've painted, and it's really clean. Look at that. Yeah, super happy with this. Some nice defined highlights. So like I mentioned, very like nice and clean. Not a lot of messiness, you know. And other than the lantern on the top, which is a bit touch and go, I think overall, yeah, it's probably one of the best sword brothers we've done. Really, really happy with this. Just give it a little twirl, something like bask in its glory, and then we'll go and grab the other dude for the comparison. Cool, and here they are. I did originally think they were the same model because they have the same weapons and tabard and cloak, but they are actually kind of different models. But they're close enough that we can still have a comparison and see the first ever Black Templar we painted on the right here, this dude, and then our newest and probably one of our best non-like character models on the left. And yeah, a massive improvement just straight up. Like, I think the edge highlighting and the base armor and an overall look is a lot better. And if we like go to specific sections, so we, I guess, start with the weapons and the guns. Yeah, you can just see like straight off like the dude on the right, the first one's just a big block of like Khorn red, and then this guy's got like nice highlights to him. We've got like a Mephiston and some Evil Sunz highlights to proper layer it and give it some depth and make it look more like vibrant and alive, you know. So a really big improvement on that. And then I'm not really sure if the silver highlights come up too much on the chain. I mean, we did use gunmetal on the new one and lead belcher on this, and I do prefer it. It's like a lot more of a shinier, whereas this is a bit like, I don't know, dull, muted or something. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I do just generally prefer the gunmetal. I think it looks nicer. And then if we look at the axes somehow, yeah, look at that. I think, yeah, I didn't actually think there would be much improvements on the axes. I guess if we, yeah, there we go. I didn't think there'd be that much of a difference because I didn't really do much extra apart from some tiny little highlights. But I do think this is overall just a bit cleaner, like a better application of the paint. It's a lot brighter and bolder. I do think actually, yeah, hold on. Yeah, we zoom in like that. Yeah, that sort of edge highlighting of the oily steel over the top of the gunmetal actually does look quite nice here because I did it on the edge of the blade and on the actual, this bit in the middle, there's like a line where it dips, so if we rotate. Yeah, so actually, you know what, the edge highlight on that silver does look quite nice, and that's popping through. Whereas if you look on this one, it's just a bit of one monocolour. Similarly, the Rune Lord's brass makes this a little bit brighter and bolder. And some of the highlights, yeah, do you know what, actually, it's quite subtle actually, but the more I look at it, the more I can see, actually, yeah, I do think the new axe is a lot cleaner, a lot bolder, and also just, yeah, more defined. But that Tabard's also looking like loads better. Like, I think we've got a lot to work on in terms of cloth, getting those recessing highlights and the folds. But I do think it's a big improvement. We've got that Zandri dust, Ushabti bone kind of like layering going on quite well. And then also the cloak's a bit of a weird one because this, on the new dude, I just did like the 3 colours and the highlighting and stuff, the different layers of red, and it looks good. I'm really happy with it. But it's hard to compare because on the old dude, I just did, I think, 1 colour of Nuln oil, and then I put some brown stains on it and whatnot. And I think I put like a matte varnish as well to make it a bit shiny and like whatnot. So it's hard to compare painting quality, if I've improved. But I guess it's a good way to compare styles. Like, do we prefer the clean cloak on the left or the bit of the older, dirtier, grimier, streaky one? I guess it's a personal preference. What I could have done is put some like streaks on here and have the best of both worlds. So maybe I'll do that. But yeah, really happy with the improvements. The basing, it's kind of the same. Just, yeah, some like grass and some wet mud and whatnot. I do like the cork that we're using though, like the sort of custom rocks that we're making. They're really, really good. But no, overall, I think we made some good improvements over these past like few months. Cool, and just a little army update, because I don't think I've done one for a while, just because the points values haven't really changed. We're just adding sort of models from squads that we haven't painted, like those 5 Crusaders at the back and like 1 Sword Brother today. And also I've had to remove the box from the back of this unit because I've not got enough room for all these models. And just a minor thing, I've added a little light. Just trying to like flush out this little display area. If anyone's got any tips or things to buy or just any advice on like displaying minis, let me know, because I'm keen to like get a good display going, because I do like looking at all these models. They're cool. So yeah, proper flashing out. There's so many of them. I don't get over how many models there are, but I'm looking really, really good. Just I honestly think all that's left is 2 Sword Brothers, 4 Neophytes, and 1 Blade Guard veteran. But other than that, we're close. We're almost at 1,000 points. Cool, there we have it. A nice little comparison between the first ever Black Templar we did and our newest one, and one of our best, to be fair. And I like these videos, they're good. I've done it once before with the Space Wolves, and it was really even better with the Black Templar because I've been painting them for a while now. Like, I painted a lot, like all of those guys, and I think I've made quite big strides because they were the first real army I started, so it was when I was like a beginner 9 or 10 months ago. Didn't really know much about painting, and now I feel like I've got a good grasp on all the basics, some techniques, and a recipe we like. So to see that big jump from the first ever model where we were a bit flaky, I didn't even know how to do certain things like tabards, and now like this one that looks pretty cool, it's great, because I think it's hard to contextualize improvements sometimes when you're making such small gains across like a long period of time. Because like I think, what have I done? I've sort of been working on like a little bit of dry brushing, and then I incorporate a little bit of edge highlighting with the dry brushing, and then working on like each individual section. So I've been making small gains. And it's kind of hard to see the small gains from day to day. So to go back and look back on, here's the first one, and then here's all of the improvements we've made like in 2 little packages, it's really cool. It's really, really fun. But no, really, really fun. And we're getting close to our goal of our 1,000-point army. So it's been good fun. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video, drop us a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time. Bye!